Sup fam? It's Richie from Social Disturbance here, and boy oh boy do I have a doozy of a story for you today. No, this is not really a story time video, more just my thoughts on what happened a couple hours ago and how I might react to it. So as some of you might know, I've been living in this little single family country home for about 8 or 9 months now. It's coming up on the final quarter, so 9 months. It's totally isolated. I don't have any neighbors. I'm surrounded by cornfields and abandoned houses, or so I thought. And pretty much the reason why I decided to move into such a secluded, random-ass area of Virginia is because I'm not a huge fan of the city. There's too much noise. I didn't want to be distracted. I just wanted to make videos and make music on my own terms, be totally secluded, and be the artist that I want to strive and be. So I'm planning on shooting a couple new music videos for new music that is maybe coming out this fall. I don't know, I'm still working on it, but I like my music videos to be real big. Lots of fire and just drama and just all this crazy stuff. And this current concept I'm working on requires all outside, outdoor shots. And I'm like, perfect. When I moved into this house, the landlord told me that it was attached to about 7-ish acres of land, which is a shit ton of land. I don't know how much an acre is, but it's a lot. I do a lot of really weird and odd things to the average person. I mean, if someone were to be driving by on the highway next to me and see a giant goth moth with a flamethrower burning shit in his backyard, you know, you would question what I was doing as well. And I've never had any trouble until this evening, or at least it was getting dark. I was scouting out my property, or at least the property I'm leasing is not my property. So there's this really pretty dirt road corridor thing right next to my house. And I finally got around to exploring it the past few weeks because of this music video and where I want to shoot it. I want it to look really nice, and these spots seem to fit my idea really well. The only problem is I noticed in the front of the area of the entrance to this place, right next to my property, I'm not even kidding you, it's like 20 feet away, it says, posted, no trespassing, all prosecutors will be prosecuted and killed on sight. It doesn't actually say that. But a big, really mean red sign. And I'm like, alright, well, it's technically part of the property, right? So I contacted my landlord. She was kind of being weird about it, but she says the previous tenants had gone back there and had done stuff with no problems, and they probably put it there because they didn't want people coming on the property. Fine, well, I live here now, so I'm going to remove that and be on my merry way blowing shit up. So let's take this to Google Maps real quick to give you a better illustration of what I'm talking about here. So I know a lot of people are going to yell at me for showing the aerial view of my home, but honestly, if you make it out here, I will congratulate you and give you a glass of milk. But this is my house. It's an old photo because that is not my car. But to give you a frame of reference of how isolated I am, this house next door, totally abandoned. It's literally just like barely standing up. It's very dilapidated. This farm, totally abandoned. You can literally see a tree coming out of that roof right there. This house, totally empty. No one lives here. And I know there's a car here, but right now this house is totally empty as well. So I am totally surrounded by nothing here. Or so it seemed, and this is the pathway, what I was talking about, with like this maze, and it's really pretty in there. There's all kinds of trees and vegetation and stuff. And this is the field of mine that I get my lawnmower stuck in all the time. So I figured it would make sense that this block would all be mine because there's nobody that lives out here. It's literally just sheer nothingness. There are no houses. So I figured this whole thing would be within my rights to film it. But of course, when I went on to YouTube and watched a bunch of tutorials on how to break a padlock and essentially breaking in to what I thought was my own property, when the time came, it was about dusk, I went over there to blowtorch the padlock open, and I hear from the very far distance just, Hey! See, I was wrong because I forgot about this little settlement over here. Somebody actually still does live here, and they apparently saw me right here and I look like a fucking hoodlum just trying to break into this thing that says no trespassing. So of course, since I was being an idiot and I didn't quadruple check to make sure this land is mine, I'm obviously a little bit skittish because all the signs are telling me that I'm allowed to be doing this and that the previous tenants did put this up, but this person's yelling at me. But they stopped yelling, and of course I didn't get the padlock off. I gave up for a little bit. I went back to my house to figure out another way, and I found my bolt cutters. I'm trying to get the padlock open, but I'm real weak, and I noticed there's a pair of headlights at my house, and they're not mine. So I look through the woods and realize that it's a police cruiser, and they're waiting for me, or I don't know if they're wanting to talk to me or something, but apparently the person called the cops thinking, you know, I'm burglarizing, which I guess if it's not my property, I technically am. And as I got closer to my house, and no, I don't have any footage of this because I was scared to death, I noticed the cruiser start pulling out of my driveway, and I realized that I'm wearing all black. I'm coming straight away with a pair of bolt cutters in my hand. It looks really bad. And the cop's got his big floodlight, so I run into the woods and kind of go around the back to the back door of my house, and the cop went on his merry way. I mean, I think he lingered for like 10 minutes, but then he left because he didn't see me, and I'm a criminal. And now I'm just totally afraid to even go over there anymore, regardless if it's mine or not. I mean, obviously I'm gonna square it up with the landlord, and if, you know, they try and yell at me again, I'll be like, bitch, it's mine. But if it's not, it is legal in Virginia to shoot somebody if you're trespassing, even though that road has clearly not been used in 10 years. It's still trespassing though. But now I suddenly feel a lot less alone, and come to think of it, I do see a police cruiser stationed down the road all the time as a speed trap. But at the same time, it's like the whole staple of me moving out here, not into the city, is that I'm totally alone and will never be harassed by police or neighbors. Now it's like I'm afraid to be shot by the neighbors. So what I'm gonna do is go over to this person's house in a day or so and kind of try and explain myself. I don't know, it's a really tricky situation because the music video does call for explosions and fire and all this crazy pyro stuff, so it needs to be very legal. And overall, after this experience, I feel a little bit like I'm being watched now. Like the neighbor knows of my presence, they know that I do weird stuff. Now, the cop has stopped by here, they kind of know what I'm doing, and granted, it's nothing illegal, but I don't want any unwanted attention because a lot of the times people kind of just don't understand what I do and like the YouTube universe and kind of just my whole art thing. Like I keep saying, nothing is illegal. Sometimes people don't really understand that, and I don't need that extra stress. I don't know, maybe in the future if they do start cracking down on me for my shenanigans, I might have to move. It's like before I was really happy, and now it's like starting to creep in, and I'm a little bit worried, but I will keep you guys updated if I get arrested and thrown in jail for arson. So yeah, stay sad but not too sad, and see you in the next one. Yay.